The asteroid had no name. It was a broken chunk of carbon and iron drifting between two dead trade routes. No atmosphere, no magnetic field, no life. The coalition charts marked it as useless mass and forgot it existed. That was where they left Elias Marr. The sentence had been delivered. Calmly, not with anger, not with hatred, just efficiency, human engineer, accused of sabotage. No witnesses willing to testify, no interest in appeals. Exile. The aliens did not believe humans survived long without cities or skies. They believed resilience was a myth humans told themselves. They dropped Elias on the surface with a pressure suit, a basic survival pack, and 3 hours of oxygen. Enough time to die politely. The transport ship never looked back. Elias watched it shrink into a point of light. He felt fear. He felt rage. He felt grief. Then he did something the coalition never understood. He started counting. He counted the seconds of oxygen. He counted the tools in his pack. He counted the stars overhead. He counted the mistakes that had led him here. Then he stopped counting time and started counting options. The asteroid rotated slowly. Gravity was weak but present, barely enough to keep his boots down. The surface was jagged. Veins of metal glimmered where meteor impacts had split the rock. Elias smiled inside his helmet. Metal, he activated the emergency beacon, not to be rescued, to be tracked. Coalition beacons transmitted a weak but steady signal. They assumed no one would ever bother to turn it off. That was their first mistake. He shut it down. After 12 hours, then he began to work. The survival pack contained a plasma cutter rated for emergency hole access. It could melt rock. It could shape metal. It could do far more than the designers intended if used patiently. Elias carved himself a shelter inside the asteroid. He sealed it with melted slag. He used regolith for insulation. He rationed oxygen. He recycled moisture. He slept in short cycles. When the air ran thin, he built scrubbers from soot. Filters and mineral compounds he extracted by hand. When the power cells drained, he cracked them open and rewired them in series. When the light failed, he worked in darkness by touch. Weeks passed, then months. The coalition monitoring stations noticed something strange. The beacon signal vanished. That was impossible. No exiled species had ever survived long enough to disable it. A junior analyst flagged the anomaly. A senior officer dismissed it. Human error. Instrument drift. Elias Marr was already dead. On the asteroid, Elias learned the rhythm of the stars. He learned how radiation storms crawled across space. He learned how changed the way molten metal flowed. Most importantly, he learned how angry determination could replace comfort. He found a wreck buried deep. Inside the rock, an ancient survey probe. Coalition design. Abandoned centuries ago. Its reactor was dead. Its hull fractured. Its navigation core intact. Elias laughed for the first time in months. He salvaged every wire, every plate, every circuit. He melted them down, reshaped them, welded them together in ways no regulation would ever allow. He built not a ship, but a promise. The hull was uneven, the thrust asymmetrical, the life support ugly but functional. The coalition would have mocked it if they had known. Elias named it perseverance, not because it was poetic, because it was accurate. The ship had no weapons. It did not need them. It had engines. Engines designed for bursts rather than cruising. Engines built to run hot and dirty. Engines tuned beyond safety. Margins, human margins. The first test burn shattered half the asteroid. Elias nearly died when feedback surged through the control board. He rewired it while screaming as insulation burned his gloves. He learned. He adjusted. The second test, burn stabilized. The third test, burn, altered the asteroid's rotation. That was when the coalition noticed. Long-range sensors detected mass displacement, energy spikes, unregistered emissions. They sent a scout drone. It arrived silently, recorded everything, transmitted the feed back to command. The room erupted in laughter. A human, alive, living in scrap, building a coffin. The admirals watched Elias drift in his patched suit as he worked on the ship hull. One of them leaned back. Let him try, it would be educational. They broadcast on open frequency. Human exile. Elias Mar, cease activity. You are in violation of coalition exile statutes. Elias did not respond. They watched him weld. They watched him fuel the engines with a volatile slurry refined from asteroid minerals. They watched him seal the cockpit. One of them shook his head, pathetic. Elias launched. The Perseverance tore free from the asteroid in a storm of debris. The thrust vector wobbled. The ship spun. Elias fought the controls with bloodied hands. Then it stabilized. The coalition fleet tracked him easily. His trajectory pointed nowhere important. Another mistake. Elias was not fleeing. He was aiming between two systems. Burned a blue giant star, massive, unstable, approaching the end of its life. Coalition astrophysicists had marked it as dangerous but distant. It would go supernova in perhaps a century. Elias knew better. The survey probe data told a different story. The star was already collapsing. Elias pushed the engines past red line. The Perseverance screamed as hull plating warped. Radiation alarms howled. Coalition commanders laughed until the data changed. Energy spikes around the star increased. Shock fronts formed. The timeline shortened from decades to days. What is he doing? Someone asked. Elias answered by burning directly into the gravity well. The Perseverance used the star like a sling. Engines firing at precise intervals. Magnetic fields interacting with stellar flux. Human physics. Human risk tolerance. He seeded the star with mass. Every drop of volatile fuel. Every fragment of metal. Every piece of the asteroid he had packed into the cargo bay. He destabilized the balance. The supernova ignited. Early coalition sensors screamed. The blast wave expanded faster than predicted, faster than models allowed. Elias rode the shock. The Perseverance was torn apart, piece by piece, but its trajectory held. The star exploded. Behind him, like a god tearing itself open, the energy waves slammed into the coalition listening post. Ships were vaporized. Stations folded. Trade routes collapsed. Elias Mar vanished from sensors. Silence followed. Weeks later, debris drifted through coalition space. Among it was a transmission capsule. Recovered, decoded, played. In every command hall, Elias appeared on the screen, bruised, smiling. You left me to die because you thought humans break when isolated. We do not. We adapt. We build. We finish what you underestimate. This was not an attack. This was a demonstration. Do not abandon us again. The coalition quietly removed Exile as a punishment. They rewrote their models. They began studying human engineering with fear and respect. As for Elias, marred, some say, the perseverance carried him beyond the blast, that he drifted into unknown systems, that he is still building. Others say he died smiling as the star went nova. Humans tell the story differently. They say he survived because humans always do. They say when you abandon a human with nothing but time and resolve, you do not create a victim, you create a force, and somewhere in the dark between stars, something is still burning hot, enough to remind the universe, never mock what you do not understand. Asterisk.